Hi, it's Joe Winston here from Measurement Solutions, and over the next few minutes I'm going to show you how we go from a scan data to a fully parametric CAD model using CAD Pro, the new reverse engineering software from Peel and Creaform. So the first thing we'll do is open up our CAD module and bring in our scan data. So this is the scan data of a small fixture with a broken tab that we're going to add back in during the reverse engineering process. I'm going to use my quick entities to create a couple of planes in a cylinder, which I'm going to use for the alignment of the part. I'm going to use my first plane as my XY plane. I'm going to use the cylinder as my Z axis, and I'll use this final plane to fully square up the model. So we can see now that the model is fully squared up in the X, Y and Z orientations. I'm going to go into my modeling software and create a sketch on this XY plane. I know the model is completely central, that central cylinder is aligned with the X, Y and Z axis. So I'm going to use that center point to create the first cylinder, and I'll use my auto sketch, select this circle, that's going to create a circle on that sketch, and I'm going to use that center point to create the next part of the sketch. I will create a couple of arcs here, and I'll extend the arcs up to these circles to fully close that sketch. I'm going to trim away these couple of entities that I don't need, and then I'm going to use my circular pattern to select those sketches that we've just created, and I'm going to pattern those around the model 6 times, so that's going to overlap where that broken tab was. I'll just do a couple more trims to get rid of these excess sketches that we don't need, and then I've got a fully enclosed sketch that I'm going to be able to extrude. So I can select that profile that we've just created. I can extrude this by a dimension, or I can use my 3D model. I can hit Control, click on that surface, and it's going to extrude up to that face for us. So that's extruded 5mm from the base plane. So we can see now that we've got a CAD model that's kind of the basis of our model that we're going to create. The next thing we're going to do is create these 2 cylinders on the top of the part. So again, I'm going to use a cross section to give us some entities that we can start to work with. First thing to do is create a center line. It's going to be the center axis of our revolve, and I'm going to create a line on the bottom that's going to be the base of our sketch. Now I know this needs to be 5mm from the base of the part because that's where our previous model was, so I can add in a dimension here that's 5mm. I'm going to use my auto sketch to select a couple of these lines here, and it's going to convert these into horizontal and vertical lines for us that we're going to use for the revolve operation. I'm going to extend all of these lines so that they're all intersecting, and this is going to give us a closed sketch profile. Last thing to do is just draw a line in the center here, and when that profile turns grey, it means we've got a fully closed sketch. So now, rather than the extrude tool, I'm going to use the revolve tool. I'll select a center line, I'm going to select the profile that we've just created and revolve around 360 degrees. So now we're a step closer to making our fully parametric CAD model. The last thing to do is create this cutout in the center. So I'm going to go back into my sketches, use my XY plane, and create a circle from the center point. I can interact with these lines, so I can click on the line, it's going to select where it is. I'm going to extrude these lines up to the circle to give us a fully enclosed sketch again. And this time I'll use my extrude tool, but rather than extrude by a distance, I will do an extrude cut. So I'll select my profile, create an extrude cut all the way through the part, and now we have our CAD model. If we want to check on the accuracy of the CAD model, I can use my compare tool. So this is going to compare the scan data to the CAD model that we've just created. You can see now all of the green areas are within 0.25mm. I can change this to 0.1 if I want to get into a bit higher accuracy. You can see that some of these yellow areas are a little bit outside of that 0.1mm tolerance, so I can go back through my design tree, edit some of my sketches and extrudes if I want to. The last thing we're going to want to do is save this model out. So I can go into my CAD model, into the solid, and export this as a IGES, a step, or an STL file. The other thing we might want to do is export the design tree as a fully editable design tree, and we can do that with SolidWorks. So I can export my full design tree into SolidWorks, and then I can go back through my sketches, extrudes, and perform any edits or add any additional features that I want to in SolidWorks. So hopefully you found that useful. If you want to see the CAD Pro module in a bit more depth and arrange a demo, then we can do that for you. feel free to give us a call or drop us an email with your details. Cheers, bye.